Three Keller Williams from three very different markets asking three great questions to one rock star agent about how they study the millionaire real estate agent and how they use the lessons learned from this book,
aka the Red Book,
to do the one thing that guarantees them a life by design and not just by default.
These are the RedTalks with Aaron
and Luke
and Patrice.
So welcome. Our guest this week is Dominic Marcel with Lion Estates in the Milton Keynes area, where he has become a true local area expert, a community advocate, and the go-to knowledge broker for all things property. So after having risen up through the ranks of the corporate real estate agency world swiftly since 2007, even becoming the youngest regional director for his company, covering a huge area north of London, in 2019, Dom went hyper-local and opened his own boutique business powered by Keller Williams. And then since then, he's built a really remarkable company with a full team behind him, a crystal clear vision, amazing values and rock-solid core beliefs. And it's this singular approach to his business that's resulted in him in selling over 100 homes last year during a major pandemic and becoming one of Keller Williams UK's brightest stars and top producing agents. So what's so amazing and awesome about our guest is not only what he's achieved, but that he's applied all the models, followed the advice, and leaned into the systems, the tools, and the processes contained within the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And so for Aaron and Patrice and I, he kind of embodies the perfect example of how a young and ambitious individual who is kind of new to the world of self-employed brokerage business owning can build a really phenomenal business in a short period of time that's both solid and scalable. So, welcome, Dominic. Can I call you Dom, by the way?
After that introduction, come whatever you want.
Thank you so much for your super valuable time. I know that we're all very, very busy, so thanks for taking the time out of your day to hang out with us. So we have three very simple questions for you around three key things: mindset, productivity, and giving back. So as you know, we want to kind of keep this short and punchy and sweet, and so we want to make sure that we make this very impactful, fun, and engaging for our audience out there. So we'll just spend a few minutes discussing each of these short questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So as always, ladies first. Patrice, what's your first question for Dom?
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dominic, for joining us. So my question to you is this. So even though you have a depth of experience in a state agency, building out your own company and generating your own business day to day from the ground up, and during a pandemic even, there must have been times when you thought to yourself, am I crazy? So how have you overcome these initial fears, and what do you do each day to make sure that you have the right mentality to go out and do what you do, especially during these remarkable times?
Yeah. Look, put it this way. First 6 months, pretty much every single day was very much, what have you done? You know, like I said, I had an 11-year career at the same company, and you kind of feel like you've not thrown it away, but it's a lot to leave at times. And so, yeah, it was terrifying. You know, to be fair, it still is pretty scary. I'm not going to lie, and I don't think it won't be, because it's exciting and it should be. It means you care. But I mean, initial fears. How to get over the initial fears without sounding scripted? Just read chapter 1 of the MREA again and again and again and again. You know, it really is as simple as there are others which have done it before you. You're not reinventing the wheel. You are just, you know, you're following the same footsteps that others have done. And what's the worst that could happen? You know, really, it's not life or death situation. It's one of those things where could you lose a load of money and maybe your ego and your pride could be dented? Yeah, but you know what? If it all goes wrong, could I go and get a job somewhere? I reckon I probably could. But when you then get into it, it's really not that scary. I mean, the ways that you sort of asked, how do you maintain it? Again, what are the foundational 2 ways of how a real estate agent, you know, millionaire real estate agents would think? It's your big why and your big goals and models. It really is as simple as that. And my big why is so categorically clear to me that growing a sort of real estate business, that's not my end goal. It's a stepping stone on the way there. And I think my big why is so powerful to me that this is a formality. It's not really an option that this isn't going to be a success, because unless I do this, I can't do that. And then I can't do this and go on from there.
Can you share what your big why is? What's your big why, Dominic?
I genuinely want where I live to be seen as one of the best places to live in the UK. It's as simple as that. And that's why I can't do that by myself. So we have to build a big team. We've got to then get others to do it in the area, because there's so many houses here and so many neighbourhoods that need to be shown off. I mean, you probably don't know much about where I'm from, but it is a bit of not a bit of a joke town, but we were only 54 years old now. You know, we don't have the history that a lot of English towns have. We don't have a traditional high street. We're based on an American system. We have a grid system. I love it. It's fantastic. You know, the logic behind it's brilliant, but we get mocked by everyone because it's like roundabouts everywhere and all this sort of thing. And it's just, when people move here, 6 months later, they're blown away by how incredible it is. And that's what my biggest driving sort of passion is that I want people to realise that the town I live in is it's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
What's the name of the town?
Milton Keynes. And I know that there'll be people watching this that will be laughing as I say it, because that's the reputation of it. But it's just, like I said, when you show
and as Dom says, it's a relatively new town, right? So it was designed only 50 years ago. And it has a very different look and feel, and it's kind of contemporary. But of course, being contemporary, it also dates quickly. So sometimes a lot of people are kind of feeling like it's not a hip place to be, or it doesn't have the same history. But Dom, what I really love about what you're saying is essentially, it sounds to me like you're saying that the mindset that gets you going is to always go back to your big why, because that's what drives you. So despite the fears that you might have, because we're all human beings, right? It sounds like you're driven by something that's so big that's what drives you forward in spite of all the challenges. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Everything else seems small compared to your why, and that's how it should
so
be.
Cool. And what's really neat is you chose a why that your community could really get behind, right? I mean, talk about selling your value to them. It's like, okay, you guys, this is why I want to be successful, is I want to put our whole town on the map. It's like, who wouldn't jump on board, right? So I love that. This is brilliant. Thank you for sharing.
And it's so authentic. So tell me more about like that big why. I'm just interested. So we got out the fact that Milton Keynes is an odd town for a lot of people, but we've also understood that you love it. So what is it that makes you love your community so much and want to build, your life around promoting and helping people build that community?
Well, what people don't tend to realise about Milton Keynes, although it's a new town, it's made up of lots of original villages and market towns. So as it's sort of got larger, it's engulfed these little pockets within it. So when people think of the wider Milton Keynes, they think new builds, contemporary buildings. There's not, literally half a mile from the train station, you can get a thatched cottage. You can get a Victorian terrace. You can get literally whatever lifestyle you're looking for. You can have it here. You just need someone who knows the local area to then point you in the right direction of what sort of lifestyle you're after. And that's what I love about it. There's something for everybody.
And I think that we're not making a show promoting Milton Keynes. We're making a show about how to build a really phenomenal business around something that's truly authentic to you, right? So for everybody that's listening, whether you own a real estate business or whether you own a coffee shop, you got to get laser focus into what really drives you and is passionate within your community. And that story is going to resonate with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And can we call it unique instead of odd? Because as someone who is unique herself, I just like that term so much better. It's a better marketing expression.
All right, so good. So let's move on to our second question. This is a question that I have for you, which I'm excited to ask you about. So you've applied the models, you've lent in, you've read the MREA, you've done everything, but that you ramped up super quick. I mean, you got into massive production like early, and you started a team early, and you're expanding your business daily. So how do you keep that production level up? And what are some of the favorite systems behind scaling that growth? And what would be like the one thing that you find sustains that level of production in your business?
Yeah. First of all, it's consistency. It's consistency is always the key. Funnily enough, I actually spoke to somebody earlier who's part of a business network that I'm a part of, and I am super busy at the minute. You know, crazy busy. Yet I'm still making time to go on these networking calls. And it's a case of you're never too busy to lead gen. You know, that's I think a really big mistake a lot of people will make is I'm really busy now. I've got loads of business. I don't need those things anymore. I'm going to take it to the next level, as it were. And it's stopping doing the things which made you successful in the first time is the easiest way to start regressing. So you have to have your plan in place and be consistent. I mean, in terms of sort of actual lead gen itself, I mean, I've always been a massive fan of social media. To me, it's a way of putting your message in front of as many people really easily. You can, without sounding weird, you can target anyone you physically want to. It's a way of connecting with people that you don't have to physically meet in person. And
you can scale that as well, right? I mean, social media gives you the ability to connect with people in a really personal way at scale, which you can't do one-on-one.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that you can try and take over the world one person at a time. It's going to take you a very long time to do it. Whereas if you can cast yourself a wider net and also go really sort of hyper local with your messaging. Like, and if you think about what I said about Milton Keynes, you've got all these different communities, these different nuances, and so each of them deserves a different message towards them. You can't just, we don't just want to do a blanket approach of one size fits all in regards to that. But I mean, I've been thinking about this in terms of, what is it, the one thing we do that sort of keeps that production levels high? That the easy answer would be, database, touch campaign and all that. But I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball with it and just say, you can touch someone 33 times a year. You can touch someone 100 times a year. If your service to your customer is poor, it does not matter. So it has to start with what you deliver to your customer. And when we go into everything we do with the mindset of what's best for them, not us, not our journey, they are the client. And if we always do what is best for that customer, we should always get repeat business from them. We should get referrals, we should get recommendations. So we focus on high quality marketing, brilliant communication, transparency, integrity, having those tough communications, having the customer feel like they've genuinely got someone in their corner. Now, agency in this country is not rubbish. A lot of people will say it's really low standard. I do disagree with that. It's not as high a standard as America, as a perfect example, but it's not. I will not say that the standard is really low. However, what I have seen is that if you deliver a really good service like that and you provide that personal touch, the customer goes crazy for it. They really, and it's really not that hard, and they're not asking for too much, and that to me helps you to really stand out and sort of get that repeat business. And do I do as much as I should do with my touch campaigns, my database? I don't. I know I've got to improve on it, but no one's perfect, and I know that's one of my focuses for this year. I've got to get better. But most of our business is through referral and recommendation, and that is purely off of the service that we offer.
I love that. I always think a hard client is the best client, because if you are hard to please, you've been unhappy most of your career, most of your life, right? And so if we can really have those especially hard clients, I see a lot of agents that kind of shy away and like, oh, they're hard to please. It's like, great. This is a great opportunity to shine, right? So you really are showing who you are. And of course they're going to refer business. They've never seen service like that before. So I love that.
And the point that you made that's very interesting about the no agent in the UK, where Dom and I are from, wakes up every day wanting to deliver a below par experience, but the system doesn't support it, because you've got to have so many transactions and so many clients and so many files that you can't deliver on. You can't focus on delivering that exceptional service. So it sounds like with you being hyper local in that relatively small area that you operate in within Milton Keynes, even if you have 100 homes in a year, which is an amazing level of business, you can still provide phenomenal experiences, because you're not spending all that time covering a massive area or trying to understand different markets and how homes sell in different neighborhoods. You know your neighborhood, you're the expert in your neighborhood, and then everybody in that neighborhood knows that you're the expert, and so it goes on, right?
Yeah, I mean, about 75% of my transactions last year were within 5 minutes of where I live. You know, I've joked that this year that I'm going to get rid of the car and just get an e-scooter, brand it up, and just where I live to go and do my appointments. But not only is it's going to sound really cheesy saying this, but you're looking after your community, you're looking after your neighbours, and you're bringing new neighbours into the community. And I think when you're passionate about where you live and you're doing it, that's the sort of person I want selling my house. Is someone that can say, it's great to live here because this reason, you know, knowing the nuances between the streets, talking about the best dog walks and the different food trucks that come down every week and all those, you know, that kind of, it's that lifestyle while people buy homes, and you're not buying bricks and mortar, you're buying that lifestyle. And like you sort of alluded to, if you're covering a huge area, you physically just can't know that information. You've also got the plus side of, you know, I'm going to get you the best price for your home, because if I undervalue it and I undersell it, it's going to affect my house value as well. And I don't want that to happen. It's just a nice way of doing business. And we're now at this point where we are able to start giving back to the community that supports our business. And it's a really nice feeling. And I fundamentally believe I have got no God-given right to anyone's business. You know, we have nuzzled between a buyer and a seller to provide a service, to say, hey, I can help with that. And you know, the customer pays a decent amount of money to provide that service. So we really do appreciate all the business we get, and we now want to give back that community to say we really appreciate the business that you give us and supporting our venture.
Well, speaking of giving back, I think maybe we should go into question number 3. Thanks for the segue. So last question. I heard that you're doing some awesome things for a lot of your agent colleagues in a way of giving back. So this is kind of a 2-part question. 1, can you tell us more about this? And second, especially since we're talking about purpose and why, when you're doing this, what is the one thing that you really want to achieve through your goal?
Yeah. Well, I have to say to start with that this has made me realize there is no such thing as a selfless deed, because genuinely I went into this year wanting to genuinely just give back. Keller has been an incredible support for me. There's a phrase that Ben Taylor uses quite often in this country, which is, you know, he says he wasn't lost before, you know, he found Keller. And I, to a degree, feel the same. I was relatively successful in my career. I didn't feel like I was sort of running around not knowing who I was. This has just completely opened, you know, broadened my horizons. It's made you realize there's an entire another level that you can live on. And I genuinely wanted to give back to the company, which has done so much for me. And so what I've done this year is I'm giving a day a month to all the different market centres across the UK. Obviously, we can't do it in person, which is a shame, but you know, just the world we live in. But it's just a way of sort of being able to give the centres what they want. And you'll probably tell I'm pretty open with how I am. There's no question off the table. You know, if the agents want to ask me, how did you do this, or they want to get down to nitty gritty in terms of numbers or money or lead gen or worries, concerns, everything, I'm a complete open book with it. And then also giving the team leaders the opportunity to bring agents in that have been talking with them about potentially joining Keller, but actually wanted to talk to someone that's actually on the ground floor and doing it for themselves without a sales pitch as such. So that was the idea. I had my first one, I think it was Friday, with the Leeds Market Centre. Oh my God, it was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, but they loved it, but I think I loved it a little bit more because it's nice to be able to talk to people and show them that you are just like a normal person. I mean, my figures and my performance has been quite highly publicised this year by Keller because, you know, I am one of the top performing agents in the UK. Now, I know that there'll be some agents that will look at that and go, I'm going to catch him. And they'll look at it almost like as inspiration and go, if he can do it, then I can definitely do it. But I also know there's the flip side, and there'll be some people that will look and go, that is so far away from what I'm doing at the moment. And they'll beat themselves up and they'll probably be in their own head and think, is this right for me? You know, and it'll almost be a demotivator. I don't want that for people. And so being able to do this is a way of kind of literally showing them I had the same worries as you. I went through the same pain point as you. I've shared the moments that I've cried. I've shared the moments that I've laughed. And it's been an opportunity for them to literally go, that's where I am, and tomorrow could be totally different. Because my journey span on 6 months. You know, literally one day to the other was just one extreme. It was ridiculous. And so I'm trying to teach people that when you experience those massive lows, then massive high. You've got to have them to experience, to appreciate the highs. So that's been the thought process behind it, has just been to genuinely just try and selflessly give back and thank the agents. And what's happened in return is it's made me feel fantastic about myself. And it's even talking to agents about what I used to do when I first started has made me go, you're not doing that anymore, Dom. You need to get back doing that again. And they say the best way to learn is to teach. And so I'm probably, ironically, getting more out of it than they are. But it's important to me.
It helps everybody raise their game. I mean, it helps, like you said, there's that great story that's in the MREA, by the way. Very early on in the book, they tell the story about the guy that crushed the 4-minute mile. And the original guy, an Aussie guy, couldn't do it. And everyone was saying, you can't do this, it's impossible. And then the English student from Oxford chunked it down, figured out how to do it, and he broke it. What's really interesting is that the story that you don't often hear is that then the first guy, he then crushed that goal pretty quick after, because it was a mindset thing that you couldn't get it done, right? And once it was proven that it could. So with you going into the offices and showing that you're a normal guy, but you're transacting at a very high level, everyone's like, but wait, you're so normal. I could do that. And so it's like, I think it's awesome. It really is. It's an amazing thing.
I love that. And that reminds me, we spoke a little earlier off screen about family reunion, which is just, it's this month, right? And I feel like that's a big part of what's always been really powerful for me, is it wasn't the agent standing up there like, I am the best and I did this. It was, I followed the systems. These are the mistakes I made, and Gary having that one-on-one, and you're really giving that opportunity on a smaller scale for people to see that vulnerability, the behind the scenes. So I think it's really inspiring. I love it. I love that idea.
So this is about family reunion. Just a little quick. I'm so sorry, Aaron, but I want to make sure that we talk about this, because it's actually really interesting. Is that when you discovered the model and you discovered all this, it sounds like you went to family reunion and it blew your head off.
Yeah, I was really. I always say this. I'm really fortunate. I was really fortunate. I'm starting to realise that maybe it's not fortunate. Maybe it's just good planning. But I went to New Orleans 2019. I think it was.
Dallas?
Yes. New Orleans 19, yeah.
Yeah. It was just, you can't even describe it. It was just, let alone, the courses you're sitting in and the people you're meeting, just the scale of it makes you again realize, it makes you very humble. You kind of think, okay, I'm just a very, very, very small cog in a very, very big machine, as it were. And being able to listen to these mega agents, where you could easily say, why are they still part of Keller? For starters, they could easily just kind of go off and do their own thing. And secondly, why are they taking the time to give back to kind of us minions who probably aren't, that aren't worth their time? And it's a totally different mindset. It's not, you could see, I use Ben Kinney as a perfect example. I was really fortunate. I got to meet Ben Kinney prior to, I think, the day before him going up on and doing his presentations. He's two totally different people. The Ben Kinney I met versus the one up on stage, he literally just came to life, and just hearing his backstories and his systems and giving away all of his secrets to just say, it's not a secret. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And this is why we're better than you. If you want to get to our level, then you need to do this. And it was just a case of going,
okay.
Right? It's there. It's just, you've got to follow that path if you want to have the same success. But that's what made me fall in love with Keller. It's just that whole, I've never really been anywhere where everyone would openly say, hey, do you want to know what my secrets are? This is what we do that no one else does. And no one's worried they're going to steal it and run with it and copy you. It's a case of try, because you won't be able to do what I do word for word or exactly, because I'm me and you're you. So I've got nothing to be concerned about. And it's that culture of giving, which is just, the family reunion is just, I spoke to an agent a couple of weeks ago and they said, is it worthwhile me going on it? And I just said, if you don't go on it, you are insane. If you do not dedicate, I'm super busy. I blocked 3 days out. There's not even an option. That will be the most important 3 days I will spend this year focusing on my business. Simple as that.
I love that.
So
I think it's a lot of that abundance. Sorry about that. When you were saying that, it was that abundance too. I think it's really that mindset thing too. And I think that's sometimes something that agents a lot of times feel, especially we spoke early on about the fear of being in the business, and it's just flipping that around and just knowing that there's enough business for everybody. There's so many things out there. And I think when you have that, it's so much easier just to look at it as excitement instead of fear. And when you feel those butterflies, you're like, oh my God, it's because I'm really going somewhere, right?
There's a great saying that I always say to everybody is like just R&D this, rip off and duplicate, and it's okay, because the thing is that you can, like you said, perfect use of the word abundance. There's so many homes to sell that we couldn't do it all on our own. So let's go and just be hyper local, and there's plenty enough to go around, and then let's all learn from one another and raise our game.
Well, that's the thing, is that I had someone recently say to me, "You're not worried about more Keller agents coming into Milton Keynes?" And I just couldn't help but laugh, because I thought, if you look at the level of transactions that I did and the money that you earn off the back of it, you look at the percentage of overall market share of Milton Keynes transactions, it's 0.1%. So unless there's 1,000 Keller agents taking all of the market, it's just don't worry about it. It's just, there is so many people to help, and there are people in different situations who I am not best placed to look after. I may not have the experience in their type of market or in their location. So it's not a problem. You're not crossing over, and the better we all do, the more we can refer. I might have a perfect buy for someone else's property, and when we first launched, we contacted traditional agents, said, "Hey, we've just opened. If we've got a buyer for one of your houses, should we get in touch?" And they just went, "Don't be so stupid. Why would we share our fee with you?" And I'm just like, "It's okay. Don't worry about it." Don't worry. So yeah, it's, like I said, abundance. It's simple.
I love that.
Well,
Erin, were you going to say what you were talking about earlier? We missed you.
Oh, it's passed. No worries.
So this, I guess all that is for me to say is really thank you so much, Dominic, for pouring into us and sharing some of your amazing perspectives from my little corner of Oxfordshire, where my market center is, to where are you in New York? You're in Manhattan, right, Erin?
In Manhattan, yeah.
Yes. And then Patrice, you're in Northern California, right?
I'm in Northern California, and ironically, I'm from Louisiana, so I've kind of got a little bit of a heart when you talk about New Orleans too, because a big part of my heart is there. So.
And this year, Family Reunion is going to be a digital experience, and obviously, by the time that this interview comes out, we'll have had it. So then we'll know a lot about how that new immersive experience went. And I think what's extraordinary now is that you can reach people and touch people in so amazing ways through the power of this medium, right? So
I think it's got the potential to be better in a weird way, because when you look at the convention centers for a traditional family reunion, there were certain courses I couldn't attend because I could not physically get from that one to that one in time, because it's 2 miles away. So this is great. Hop out, jump onto another. It's going to be, as long as everyone piles into it and they put themselves in a bunker, it's going to be just as good, if not better.
Well, and also, if this is going to be like Mega Camp, then we'll have, X amount of days or weeks or whatever afterwards to actually go back and listen to it. So not only is it I couldn't attend these 2 at once, who can I share recordings with? It's, okay, great, I can go to this one, and then in my free time I can go to this one, and then in my free time I can go to this one. I think it's such a phenomenal tool for us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much again. So Dominic Marcel with Lion Estates in Milton Keynes, and I am Luke Jones.
I'm Patrice Sandstrom.
And I'm Erin Wheelock.
And we are the RedTalks all around the MREA. Cheers, guys. Have a great time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Dominic.